Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn about a very unique topic, standard forms. But what is standard form? It's an art of writing extremely huge numbers and extremely small numbers. But how to do that? So without wasting time any further, let's do some math. So first we'll try to understand how to write a number in standard form, or basically what is a standard form. So let's check. So I'll mark the heading first, standard form. So you might have seen like numbers written like this, like 2.3 into 10 raised to 15, for example. You must have seen numbers written like this. So this is actually written in standard form. But why? So there are two categories. First one is extremely huge numbers. Extremely huge numbers or big numbers. For example, if I have to write 24300000000 in standard form. Even before writing the standard form, let's try to understand why there is a need to write this number in standard form. I'll give you one example. Let's say there is a banker who is responsible to transfer this amount from one account to another account. And in that case, if there will be a human error, if the banker will add one more zero and transfer that amount to another account, then it will be a huge mistake, because that person is sending 10 times more money as compared to what he was supposed to send. So that is where we have to understand uh, why we should write the number in standard form, because it will be very precise. How it will be, we are going to learn it right now. So 243000000, if you have to write it in standard form, so standard forms are the number which is written in this form, k multiplied by 10 raised to n, where n is an integer and the value of k lies between, like, it should be greater than equals to 1 but lesser than 10. So this we have to remember. So let's check. If you have to write down this number 24300000000 in standard form, so can I write this number as this much 0.0, and now we can transfer this zero, we can transfer this decimal point from this position to here, between 2 and 4. Why between 2 and 4? Because the value of k should be greater than or equals to 1 but lesser than 10. That means it should be a single digit number. It can be decimal, but it should not be a 2-digit number or any number which is greater than 10. That means we are transferring this decimal point from here to here. So can I write 2.43 first and then multiply it by 10 raised to the value of n. But how do we find the value of n? To check the value of n, we can count the number of digits between these two decimal points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hence, it will be 2.43 into 10 raised to 9, and that's the answer. But that's the conversion of this big number into the standard form. Now, if this number any banker have to type or transfer this much amount from one's account to another's account, it will be very easy transaction. Now let's check the second example. The second example is extremely small numbers. Extremely small numbers, like let's say we have 0.000000919. In this case, we can clearly see that the number is very small, and now we still have to write it down in the form of k into 10 raised to n in this form. So for that, we have to transfer this decimal point from here to here between 9 and 1 in this 9 and 1 here, so that we can write the value of k, which is 9.19 multiplied by 10 raised to how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 digits. But this is a very small number, so this will be negative 7. So this is a point to remember, and I'll write it down here. Whenever we shift the decimal point from right to left, we are shifting from right side to left hand side, the value of n is positive. And whenever we shift the value of decimal point, or the decimal point basically, from left to right hand side, the value of n is negative. So this is a point to remember. Or you can also remember like this, that this is a very huge number and we are writing it in standard form, so the value of n will be positive, and this is a very small number and we are trying to write it in standard form, so the value of n will be negative. With this, we can move on to our questions now. We can start solving a few questions. So if this is relevant to you, so you please bring a pen and paper and you can solve the questions along. So let's start from question number 1. We'll quickly solve these questions now. Starting from question number 1, it says write the number 0.00037 in standard form. That means we'll shift this decimal point from here to between 3 and 7. So we can write it down as 3.7 multiplied by 10 raised to, how many digits are between this decimal point and this decimal point? 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is a very small number, so minus 4. So this will be the answer, 3.7 into 10 raised to minus 4. Let's try the another one. It says 8.25 into 10 raised to 3. Write it down this number as an ordinary number. So it is 8.25 multiplied by 10 raised to 3 means 1000. So now if you multiply 8.25 into 1000, it will become 8250. So this is going to be the answer, because this decimal point will shift 3 digits to the right hand side. This will be 8250, and that's the answer, 8250. Let's move on to the next question now. It says work out 2.1 into 10 raised to 8 multiplied by 6 into 10 raised to 5. So we can write it as 2.1 into 10 raised to 8 multiplied by 6 into 10 raised to negative 5. In this case, each number is multiplying with it's open basically. All the numbers are multiplying with each other. So it's not necessary that you solve this first and then multiply with this again. You can simply multiply 2.1 into 6. So that is going to be 12.6, and then 10 raised to 8 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 5. So here we apply the law of indices. X raised to a multiplied by x raised to b is actually x raised to a plus b. So here we can write it as 10 raised to 3 now. But this is still not in the standard form which is asked here. So we have to convert it into standard form, because the value of kc, whenever we have to write a number in standard form, it should be in k multiplied by 10 raised to n, where the value of k should be greater than equals to 1 or lesser than 10. But this value is not lesser than 10. How can we make it lesser than 10? If we shift this decimal point from here to here, so we can write it as 1.26 multiplied by 10 raised to 4. Why? Because we are shifting the decimal point from right to left. This is what we did here. You can just, okay, it's fine, we can move on. Question number 4. Let's check question number 4 now. It says write 6.43 into 10 raised to 5 as an ordinary number. So we have 6.43 multiplied by 10 raised to 5. There's a trick also. Whenever there's two numbers after the decimal point, so you break 10 raised to 5 as 10 raised to 2 into 10 raised to 3. So this multiplied by 10 raised to 2 will give you 643 multiplied by 10 raised to 3. So it will be 643 and 000. And this is the answer. Let's move on to the next question now. Question number 5, it says work out the value of 2 multiplied by 10 raised to 7 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 10 raised to 12. So 2 will multiply with 8, 8 to the 16 multiplied by 10 raised to 7 into 10 raised to minus 12. That is 10 raised to minus 5. Now we have to write it in standard form. So we will shift the decimal point from here to here. We can write it as 1.6 into 10 raised to now minus 4 basically. And that's the answer. Also, do you want to see like how it is done? Actually, what is happening? We are see, the number is this 16 into 10 raised to 5. We are dividing this by 10, and that's how we are writing 1.6, and we are also multiplying it by 10. So this is 10 raised to 1. So as per the law of indice, 10 raised to minus 5 into 10 raised to 1 will become 10 raised to minus 4. 16 upon 10 will become 1.6. I hope this is clear to everyone now. Moving on to next question, question number 6. It says work out the value of this number divided by this number. So this can be written as 2.3 multiplied by 10 raised to 12 divided by 4.6 multiplied by 10 raised to 3. Now in this case, we can divide these two numbers and these two numbers separately. So 2.3 divided by 4.6 is 1 by 2, that is 0.5 multiplied by 10 raised to 12 divided by 10 raised to 3, so that is 10 raised to 9. Now the value of k is still not either 1 or greater than 1 or lesser than 10. It's still lesser than 10, but it should be like 1 or greater than 1. So we'll write it as 5 multiplied by 10 raised to 8, and that's the answer. Let's move on to question number 7 now. It's a word problem. So let's check. It says the time taken for the light to reach the earth from the edge of the known universe is these many years. Light travels at a speed of this much kilometer per year. Work out the distance in kilometers from the edge of the unknown universe to the earth. Give your answer in standard form. Okay. So first of all, distance is speed into time. Speed is given to us. Speed is 9.46 into 10 raised to 12 into time, that is this much. So this we can write it in standard form first. So that is going to be 1.4 into 10 raised to, so let's count. Decimal point is going to be here. So we have 3339 and one 10 number. So 10 raised to 10. So we have 1.4 into 10 raised to 10 as our time. And now we have to multiply these numbers to get the distance. The distance will be, let's multiply 9.46 into 1.4 first. 9.46 into 1.4. So 9.46 multiplied by 1.4, and the answer is 13.244 multiplied by 10 raised to 12 into 10 raised to 10. So this is going to be 10 raised to 22. Now this is still not a standard form because the value of k should be greater than equals to 1 but lesser than 10, and it's 13. That means we will shift this decimal point from here to here. So we can write it as 1.3244 multiplied by 10 raised to 23, and that's the distance, and this is the answer. Let's check another question, and this is the last question, question number 8. If you want to try, you can pause the video here and you can try it and again come back to check the answer. But let's check it right now. It says find the value of p, and the value of x is given to us, y is given to us. It says p square equals to x minus y upon xy. That means we have to do 8.5 into 10 raised to 9 minus 4 into 10 raised to 8 like this, divided by 8.5 into 10 raised to 9 multiplied by 4 into 10 raised to 8. So till now we have solved problems like this where we learned how to multiply and divide, but in this case we also have to subtract two numbers which are written in standard form and then divide it with the denominator. So first, okay, I'll do it stepwise. So first, in such cases what we have to do, we have to make sure this value 10 raised to 9 converted as, or either converting, instead of converting this, convert this number as a multiple of 10 raised to 9. And how we can do that? If we write 8.5 into 10 raised to 9 minus 0.4 into 10 raised to 9, we can write it like this, because we just reduce divided by 10 and here multiplied by 10. And here we can simply multiply 8.5 with 4 and 10 raised to 9 and 10 raised to 8. So 8.5 multiplied by 4 is 34, multiplied by 10 raised to 9 and 10 raised to 8, so that is 17. So 10 raised to 17. This is still not the final answer. We'll convert it into standard form. So let's check the next step. In the numerator, now we can clearly see 10 raised to 9 is common. So we'll take 10 raised to 9 common. 8.5 minus 0.4 divided by, now this we can write it in standard form. So we can write it as 3.4 into 10 raised to 18. And this is still not over. Let's check what is 8.4 minus 8.5 minus 0.4. So that's 8.1. So we can write it as 8.1 into 10 raised to 9 now, divided by 3.4 into 10 raised to 18. So from here we can solve it easily. So let's check it here. What is 8.1 divided by 3.4? 8.1 divided by 3.4, and the answer is 2. I'm writing correct up to 2.38. It is 2, 3 and so on. I'm writing it correct up to 3 decimal place. Multiplied by 10 raised to 9 divided by 10 raised to 18, not 8, 18 will be 10 raised to minus 9, because 9 minus 18, and this is your final answer because the number is already in standard form. The value of k is less than 10 and greater than 1. So this is the final answer. I hope this video help you to learn and understand how to write numbers in standard form. If this was helpful to you, do consider it sharing it with your friends so they can start studying. And do like the video, subscribe the channel, so whenever I will make any video which is relevant to you, you can watch it. That's all from my end. Bye everyone.